Okay, so now it's time for the fun part. One of the reasons that I chose to build this tool inside of Illustrator is that now you have the power of Illustrator to actually do some fun stuff. So let me talk a little bit about that. So here we are again, we've got our woman on the page here. Let's say you want to add some text effects, or let's just say you want to add a piece of text. So let's say at the very end we want to have our titles here, I don't know, we'll say like directed by. So to do that, you can go over and just hit the T, and that adds a little text. So you can add, let's say, directed by me. We'll create some fill here, and we'll set our type size to be something a little bit less crazy because it needs to fit in here. One thing you will notice is that in order for this to work, you definitely need, oh boy, where'd that go? There we go. Why is my workspace all weird? Sorry about that. In order for this to work, you do need some pretty small type. And just remember that you'll learn this as you go and print these things. It's not always the easiest to, like, the way that Laserjet printers print adds a lot of texture to things. So having a lot of text will not necessarily read very well. So I'm just going to go in here, and I don't really care what font I use. So let's just set this to 6. And we'll set it to be centered. Paragraph centered. Drag it back over. Now, of course, we need this on every single frame, so I'm just going to do a little, I'm holding down Option and Shift. You can see that in the bottom right corner, and I'm going to kind of align it here. And then a nice little thing you can do, once you've done that once, you can just hit Command D, and that will just duplicate it. And hopefully I've like perfectly aligned this. Maybe I didn't. We'll see. It looks like I didn't, which is going to be annoying. Anyway, you'd probably want to properly align this. I'm just going to leave it kind of messy. And let's just select all of these because, remember, actually I can go select same fill color. Remember that in order for this to read correctly, it needs to be upside down and flipped left to right. So the way to do that would just be to come over here and hit rotate. And let's just rotate by 180 degrees. And that kind of puts everything a little bit off. So I'm just going to kind of move it back in the right space. And then you need to flip left to right. So you go to Object, Transform, Reflect. And we're going to do that vertically. Okay. So just make sure that you are in the right orientation, because for it to read the right way through the projector, you have to flip everything and that sort of thing. That's note 1. So it's kind of cool. You can play with text effects very easily in here. Next thing is, anything that's white will actually not print. It will remain clear. And when that goes to projector, it'll be the light source. It'll be white. So actually that allows for like some really simple masking or like some fun little shape techniques. So one thing you can do is, like, let's say, I don't know, let's say I wanted a little circle to sort of appear like from the center. I don't know, maybe there's a wipe or something that I want to do with this. So the way I could do that is I could just draw a white circle right in the middle. And let's say, I don't know, I want this to be really large at the end, and then we'll make it kind of small at the beginning. So this is going to print clear, so we'll remove her face. That's just kind of a helpful technique. Like, you'll find that's helpful to do stuff like masking. Like, actually, let's do this. Instead of this, let's actually say, what I actually want to do is I just want to keep her face. So what I'm seeing here is I'm way off center here. Let's do this. Well, that's good enough for now. I'll get to the next step. So let's say I actually want to keep her face but only show everything else. So there is some really simple masking or matting inside of Illustrator. The way to do this is select the top shape, select the bottom shape, and then you'll come over here to go Object, and you'll go to Clipping Mask, and you go to Make. And now we have just her face on white, and that means it will print clear. So we'll just have her face inside of the frame, which is kind of cool. You could also make it black, right? So you could actually take this rectangle and make this black. Your color's over here, so you just drag over this. and make no outline. And then we could send this to back by going arrange, send to back. So this is pretty powerful, allows you to do a lot of nice, really simple graphic effects without having to like learn After Effects or other things. Next is I want to actually show, let's say you don't care about video at all, but you still want to have like morphing shapes and things. Then what you could do is you could actually use your template to actually sort of set this all up for you. So in this case, let's go to our layers window. So go to window, layers. And then what we want to do is let's make a new layer for ourselves, call it shapes. And I'm going to lock these other two shapes, or these other two layers, that way I'm not drawing on them. What we want to do is before we print, we're actually going to hide these, right? So we're going to hide those two shapes, or hide these two layers so we don't print that on our film. But for now, I want to use these guides to actually show us where things are. So I think I can hide, yeah, I did do this like smartly. So you can hide art, and then you get just the frames and the numbers. So let's say, let's keep our circles going. You could do any shape if you really wanted to. Actually, let's do something like a star. This is kind of silly, but we could do this. So let's say we go to star. And remember, you know, for our frames, we want them to be upside down. I don't even know what, yeah, that's right. Okay. So upside down, and then we want to center that in the frame there. So let's make our star a color. So let's go ahead and fill in a color of, let's just do a blue, and we'll hide our outline. So what I want to do is let's actually morph from a circle into a star. So the next step would be is, let's say I'm only going to do this in 30-second or in 30 frame increments. You could do it in longer, but it will take a little bit more of like, you'll see what I'm saying when we get there. So let's say I want to go from a circle to a star. I should also mention, you'll see that I've got these little guides on. I believe that's Command U. So if you go to View, Smart Guides, mine are on already. Yours could be off. So if you just do Command U, that'll turn them on. That kind of helps you align stuff a little bit better, or like just eyeball alignment. There's probably better ways to do it. There are better ways to do it, but because this is an Illustrator class, I just want to show some basic stuff. Okay, so we're going to go from this circle to this star. And you might say, well, that's really hard to draw. How would I go about doing that? Turns out Illustrator has this cool tool called the blend tool. And what it will allow us to do is it will allow us to actually generate a circle into a star over a fixed number of steps. So it turns out we've got frame 1 and frame 30, which means we have 28 frames between those two. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this circle, grab this star, and then we're going to go to Object, Blend, and we're just going to hit Make. And this is going to look wrong at first, right? You're going to say, like, that's too many steps. But you'll see here we are going from a circle to a star. Now we need to fix the steps issue, so we'll go back to Objects, we'll go to Blend, and we'll go to Blend Options. And you want to switch to Specified Steps. And remember, we've got 28 steps. This is the in-between steps. So we can go Preview, and you'll see that pretty much aligns with our frames. And now we have a circle that converts to a star. Maybe not in the prettiest way, like it's a little weird here, but it does work. And the other thing that's cool is we can also blend colors. So let's, if you use the white arrow, click on that, and then click on the circle, so it's outlined. Let's turn this to, let's go green. Oops, wrong shape. Make sure your color is in the front, or your fill is in the front. Select that. Now we're going from green to teal. This is a really, really powerful tool. So again, you can think about these as tweenings, right? So if you're in After Effects or something else, you would tween between shapes. And yes, you could open After Effects and do that if you wanted to, but in this case, you could also just use the blend tool. Another really simple thing is, let's say you wanted to go just animate an object from across the screen. So let's say you've got again, let's do a rectangle this time. So in this case, it's going to be our last frame. So let's say we want to go, our last frame should be, oh man, I can never do the directions in my head. Let's just say we're going to go from one side of the screen to the other. So we'll take this frame here and we'll go down to 30. I'm using 30 again because it's easy, but you could start to map out like, well, I want this one to take half a second. I want this one to take a full second. This one should take 10 seconds, whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to animate. So I've got one on the left and one on the right. And we can come over here and go to blend, make, and you'll see it does all sorts of crazy stuff. That's to get like a smoother color. Like let's again switch out our colors here to be, let's go purple. I might have to make sure you're on the rectangle and not the little line that shows the blend path. Purple. Okay. So see here, now I've got sort of this smooth color. So again, if I select this again, I'm just selecting the black arrow, selecting this, going to Object, Blend, Blend Options, and then you go to Steps, and then you go to 28. And here we go. Now we have a image that will animate. It'll actually animate from the right to the left because of how the orientation is flipped. That's where it gets to be a little bit of a head scratcher. Sometimes what you might want to do is actually animate the order you want and then just rotate the thing 180 degrees, because you can do that. Right, you could say if I actually wanted to go from right to left, I would just do it and then I would hit transform, rotate 180 degrees. Did that do what I expected it to? Did not. Why not? Object, transform, rotate. Oh, it's rotating the colors, right. This will just be flip left to right. So you just go Object, Transform, Reflect to just flip the direction. It's a little confusing, right? But it's really powerful if you don't want to go and do every one of those steps manually, right? Like that's like traditional direct animation, like with inks and paper and pens and scratching tools. You would literally do every single frame. In this case, what we can do is we can make the computer do some of the tweens for us, and then we can just print it and have it kind of work. So it's kind of a cool tool in that regard. So that's just a brief introduction to some of the tools you could use in Illustrator. There's a lot more you could do. If you've taken any of the direct animation class at Mono, you know there's like lots of little tricks you can do around like, you know, making things appear straight and sort of wipes and left and rights, that sort of thing. My piece, Cellular Reconstruction, was built around a lot of those concepts. I'll drop a link to that in the video notes as well in case people want to watch that, because you'll see lots of these tricks sort of pop up in there as well. Yeah, so that's the last video of this series. I hope you found this helpful. If you do end up making a film with this, like, please share it with me. I know I'll see the Mono films, but for anyone just sort of hanging out on YouTube, if you do make a cool film, like, please let me know. I'd love to see it. And with that, maybe we'll do more in the future. I don't know, maybe I'll have updates to this in the future. But for now, this is sort of the end of the series, so I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you make something cool with it.